Hey guys, thanks for the click and welcome back. I start off this project by making an SVG file of my sign design. I'm only using two colors for this SVG, red for the cut lines, and since this is going to be an all score project, I'm going to use purple for the score lines. I then select my image and I will copy it to the artboard. Once it's pasted to the artboard, I want to reflect the image. I want to reflect the image because I will be engraving on the back side of the acrylic in reverse so that when it's turned over to the front side, it will read left to right. Okay, now that I have this image reflected, let's go ahead and go to the original image and delete it. We don't need it anymore. And now let's go ahead and save this new reflected image as an SVG file and load it into the Glowforge so that we can score the acrylic. Now this next part is the most important part of this project. I cut this 90-degree L-jig out of MDF that I'm going to lock into place onto the crumb tray using super strong neodymium magnets. Once the L-jig is positioned, place 3 magnets on the L-jig, one on the corner and 1 magnet on both sides of the legs. It is very important that this L-jig does not move because its main purpose is to retain the alignment of the design. And trust me, this jig isn't moving with these high-powered magnets. Now place a 90-degree piece of clear acrylic that you know is big enough to fit your design and gently push it into the jig, ensuring that both sides are flush with the L-jig. Once securely positioned, let's go ahead and close the Glowforge and load the SVG into the Glowforge. Once the SVG loads into the Glowforge, position it exactly where you want it on the material. When satisfied, don't move the image again. It must stay in the same position until you are done with this project. If it moves, you will lose alignment and your project will be ruined. Since the acrylic material will be loaded into the Glowforge multiple times for rescoring and then a final cut, it is crucial that the image doesn't move, and also never close your Glowforge app. I now set my score settings for the acrylic, and since I don't want it to cut yet, I will set the cut settings to ignore. Once done, I click on the print button to get this job started. It's going to take a little over 5 minutes to get this job scored, so let's get it going. The scoring process will provide just enough power from the laser to cut only the top paper masking layer off the acrylic. If you slightly score the acrylic, there is no need to worry. It will not show once spray painted. Now that it's done scoring, I will remove all the masking in the areas where there is yellow. I will use these fine point tweezers to get that easily done. But first, let's identify all the yellow areas the masking has to be removed. I will use this picture as a guide to quickly identify and to remove all the masking from these areas. Let's go ahead and get started removing all the pieces. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to use this Tamiya yellow spray paint. It is usually used to spray model cars. It sprays with a fine mist and dries fast. I'm also going to use the Tamiya green and this black automotive paint that also sprays a fine mist and dries very quickly. So let's go ahead and take this to the garage and spray the first layer. I vigorously shake the can and I begin to apply the first coat. And I allow this coat to dry for about 5 minutes. I then return and I apply a second coat and I allow that coat to dry for about 5 minutes as well. I then return to get the piece and return it to the craft room for inspection. Upon inspection, the paint looks really good, but my fear is that when I pull off the masking for the second color application, that the masking might pull off and tear the paint. So to prevent this from happening and ruining the piece, I will put the piece back into the Glowforge and rescore the piece. I carefully place the material on the crumb tray and gently push the acrylic into the L-jig, making sure both sides are flush with both legs of the jig. I close the lid and I return to the already running Glowforge app. You will notice that the acrylic and the SVG lined up perfectly. If the jig had moved or if the SVG had moved, they would have not aligned. So let's go ahead and check our score settings and get this job started. It is quickly evident that the SVG and the material in the Glowforge are perfectly aligned. The laser beam is scoring in the identical path as it did in the previous run. This score pass will ensure that the paint between the masking will be burned off and no tearing will occur. Better to be safe than sorry. So now let's remove the acrylic and give it a quick inspection. And now let's begin to remove all the masking in the areas that will be sprayed green. I sprayed on 3 coats of green paint, and I allowed the paint to dry 5 minutes between each coat. Now remember not to turn off your Glowforge app or turn off your computer. If you do, you will not be able to realign the material to the SVG. The app must retain the information and not be closed. So just like before, I return the acrylic to the crumb tray and I gently push it into the L jig, ensuring both sides are flush with the 2 legs of the jig. I will run another score job. This run will burn away all the paint that is in between the masking. And just like before, the acrylic piece and the SVG file are perfectly aligned. The laser is running in the exact same path as it did before. As long as the L jig doesn't move and as long as you don't move your SVG pattern in your Glowforge app, everything will remain perfectly aligned. Now I'm going to remove all the masking from the areas that will receive the 3rd color black. So let's go ahead and pull off the masking and prepare it for the 3rd and final coat of spray paint. I will now return the acrylic to the Glowforge for the final time. I will now run a cut job to cut out the sign. I gently push the acrylic into the jig, ensuring that it is flush against both legs of the jig. I close the lid of the Glowforge and I return to the already running Glowforge app. Once in the app, you can tell that the SVG file is perfectly aligned with the acrylic. I change my settings and I switch both of my score jobs to ignore, and I enable my cut job and enter in the perfect settings for my Glowforge. Your Glowforge settings may be different from mine. I now hit the print button and it's going to take 1 minute and 57 seconds to complete this job. I remove the cut sign from the Glowforge and I take it to my workbench to remove the top masking and to reveal the front side of the sign. I slowly peel off the front masking. It's always exciting to reveal what's underneath. As I slowly peel off the masking, I can tell that all the work was worth it. It is looking amazing. Well guys, this wraps up another video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I would greatly appreciate it. So until my next video, if it happens in my world, I'll more than likely make a video of it. I hope you have a great day and God bless.